Hi, this is FNB Detective. If you want to watch more FNB related video, don't forget to subscribe my channel and click the bell icon and never miss an update.
Today we are talking about types of whiskey. Here we go. Whiskey is made all over the world. Whiskey can be made anywhere that beer is made. In the US, North American blended whiskey is the #1 category of whiskey in sales volume. However, in the US, the fastest growing spirit category of all since 2000 has been Irish whiskey. In 2009, Irish whiskey again enjoyed growth. From San Francisco to Boston. In Scotch whiskey, single malt whiskey sales remain strong, while blended whiskey sales are stable. Bourbon and Tennessee whiskey sales are robust, though bourbon is only now gaining the dominance and reputation it so surely deserves. If Scotch whiskey is viewed as a benchmark of whiskey making, it's worth noting that a century ago, Irish whiskey was king. Rules and traditions vary from country to country. Walk into any bar outside of the US and Ireland, and if you ask for a whiskey, the bartender will point at a wall of Scotch bottles. So this is the popularity. To be considered a Scotch whiskey, it must adhere to the Scotch whiskey regulations of 2009. Scotch has more stringent requirements compared to other whiskies on the list. It should be produced in a single Scotland-based distillery. Must be at least 40% alcohol by volume. Less than 94.8% alcohol by volume. The alcohol must be made from malted barley. It must be aged for at least 3 years in a warehouse, Scotland. In an oak cask no bigger than 185 gallons. Have no added substances other than water and caramel coloring. Scotch can be broken down into these 5 different categories. Single malt, Scotch whiskey that is made from only water and malted barley at a single distillery in pot stills. Single grain, whiskey made at a single distillery, but can have whole grain or other cereals. The word single doesn't refer to only one grain being used, but rather the single distillery used. Blended malt, or vatted malt or pure malt, a blend of at least 2 single malt whiskies from different distilleries. Blended grain, a blend of at least 2 single grain whiskies from different distilleries. Blended, a blended whiskey made from 2 or more single grain or single malt whiskies. Dating back to 12th century, Irish whiskey was one of the first distilled drinks in Europe. Irish whiskey is different from Scotch whiskey due to triple distillation process, where Scotch whiskey is usually only distilled twice, which is to make the whiskey smoother. Irish whiskey must be distilled and aged in Ireland. Must be less than 94.8% alcohol by volume. Made from yeast fermented cereal grains. Aged for at least 3 years. Aged in wooden casks no bigger than 700 liters. Some people believe that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky, but that's not true. Although most bourbon is distilled in Kentucky, it can be made from anywhere in the US. Bourbon whiskey must be made from at least 51% corn, aged in new, charred oak containers. Distilled to a maximum of 160 proof or 80% alcohol by volume. Has to be aged for at least 2 years. If we are talking about American whiskey, we must heard about Tennessee whiskey, which is made only in Tennessee. And the whiskey production has one more little wrinkle. In the mid-1800s, the founder of Jack Daniel Distillery, Alfred Eaton, introduced a filtration step, utilizing little cubes of charcoal made from the local sugar maple trees. The Lincoln County process requires only that the spirit be filtered through sugar maple charcoal prior to aging. Thank you for watching my video. Share your comment, and please subscribe my channel.